In Australia, they call it the race that stops a nation, but much of the attention on this year's Melbourne Cup will be for all the wrong reasons. The annual horse race is due to start in just an hour's time now, is mired in an animal abuse scandal. Dr. Bitter-Jones, acting head of RSPCA Australia, told me recent revelations had left the nation in shock.
So Australians are reeling from an expose that came out a couple of weeks ago that showed appalling treatment of ex-racehorses at an abattoir in Queensland. It was exposed on an ABC program here, and the amount of outrage that's come from the Australian public that horses that are worth so much money to their owners, and in an industry where they talk about treating horses like kings, could end up as horse meat, and that could end up at an abattoir that had such appalling practices. It's really left a sour taste in the mouth of many people who would normally be celebrating today at the Melbourne Cup.
I guess this may not be such a surprise to people who know much about the horse racing world. Do you think it will have much impact?
It should have an impact. I think many of us who've worked in animal welfare have known for a long time that there are potentially thousands of horses exiting racing that might end up at an abattoir. I think what shocked us the most was that the standards at that particular abattoir were so bad. They are being investigated. But it is something the industry really has to acknowledge, that they've got responsibility when we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry here. They've got a responsibility to ensure the welfare of horses once they've left racing, as well as while they're in the racing industry.
And the fact that it's centred on the Melbourne Cup may be significant-minded. I think it's Australia's certainly most famous race, perhaps its biggest sporting event. It's certainly the richest two-mile handicap in the world, isn't it?
It is, and so there's 24 runners in the race today. Unfortunately, the Cup itself has been mired in tragedy in the last few years too. We've had, out of the past 6 years, 5 horses associated with the carnival itself have had to be killed on the track or after running. It's really an industry that's got to face up now to the fact that animal welfare is clearly something Australians care about, and the racing industry's got to do a lot better.
Dr. Bitter-Jones, acting head of RSPCA Australia.